So today we celebrate Epiphany, and that's the coming of the three kings. So it's a big holiday for other cultures, not as much for us Protestant Anglo folks, but it's still one of those things that always catches me as I think about the Christmas season and extend it for those 12 days after Christmas. So today we celebrate the coming of the wise men. So the wise men, right? They are the three men in glittering velvet robes and fake beards in the living nativity at the church, right? They're the wise guys that came down the aisle with their sunglasses and their cool walk. They brought gifts. They traveled from far away. They followed the yonder star through the back of the sanctuary in the grand crescendo of our beloved annual Christmas pageants. There is something about the story of the Magi, the mystery that is wrapped up in these visitors who saw a star and were curious enough to chase it. Perhaps if Luke, the historian, had written about them in his Christmas account, we might have more precise details. But Matthew wasn't so detail-oriented. Matthew's account is vague, shrouded in mystery. He simply says, "Now after Jesus was born in Bethlehem of Judea in the days of Herod the king, behold, wise men from the east came to Jerusalem." That's all we know about them. Period, end of sentence. Wise men from the east. Who were they? How many were there? What were their names? Where did they come from? Intrigue swirls around these foreigners. Where did they come from? With a wink, Matthew tells us the east. That's easy. They came from the east. His description is so utterly specific that church traditions in dozens of countries claim to be their country of origin. The early church gave them names, perhaps you've heard of them, gave them names and places of origin. We have Gaspar, he's from India. Melchior, he's from Persia. And Balthazar is from Arabia, or sometimes Ethiopia. So, right? The tradition has given us the idea that there were three. There were three gifts. Three people brought gifts. But really, most likely, it would have been more than three. It was a collection of scholars who had knowledge of ancient texts, astronomy, philosophy, prophecy, and so much more. And though it is fascinating to speculate, and my word is imagine. I love using my imagination. I love to be able to think about these things. But sometimes, well, for one, we'll never know, really, because no one knows. And two, the details are really irrelevant to the bigger picture. But what captures my attention is the curiosity that the Magi have in which they begin their journey. They were seekers, always searching for truth, answers, and irregularities. The Magi, those wise and learned men, knew the scriptures of all religions, ancient and sacred texts. They were familiar with the prophecy of the coming of the Messiah. As they studied the night sky, looking towards the heavens, they noticed something new, something different. When was the last time that you noticed something new or something different in the night sky? They knew it, like they knew the back of their hand. They were familiar with the sky. And when the star appeared, well, for one, it wasn't your ordinary star. New stars usually fade in and get brighter, and then they fade out as they get older and die. This star appeared bright at first in the sky. A star unlike any other star they had ever seen. A new bright star that is transfixed in the night sky. If you watch the sky, you know that it shifts and moves through the seasons. This star was stable. It did not move. A new star transfixed in the night sky. So naturally, they were filled with curiosity. They charted that star. What was it saying? Where was it leading? Were the scriptures true? Could this be the birth announcement that the world has been waiting for centuries? And so their curiosity set them on a journey to see for themselves what they had read, what they had studied. Now, can you imagine this journey? I cannot. The terrain that they traveled over, there were no roads, there were no shortcuts. The provisions that they had to carry for this journey, there were no grocery stores or mini marts to stop on along the way. The amount of time that it took, a caravan of camels aren't known for their speed. And most of all, the determination and commitment that those travelers had in order to bring this quest to fruition. The curiosity of wonder that spurred them on to their final destination. They were seeking answers, but they found so much more. I believe we can learn much from their actions. The Magi were observers of the world around them and beyond, so much so that they were aware of a difference in the night sky. Once they detected the star, they discerned that it was pointing them to the divine. Instead of ignoring it or simply observing it from afar, they decided to make the treacherous and arduous journey closer to Christ. On their quest, they cross over geographical, political, religious, ethnic, and cultural boundaries to seek out the newborn child. Once they arrive, they are filled with joy at the sight of the child and humble themselves before him, bowing and bearing gifts. They also listened intuitively to their dreams and evaded Herod's deception, choosing what is perhaps a more difficult journey home by a different route. When we look closely at the Magi, we can learn from them how to be a seeker, how to be one who persistently seeks the sacred. It is perhaps with a continual sense of awe and wonder that we need to approach the Messiah, to take hold of the mystery and to continue to seek, not to hold back, but to journey closer to Christ, to keep seeking filled with awe and wonder. I love those two words. And author Cole Arthur Riley, she writes, "Awe is an exercise both in doing and being. It is a spiritual muscle of our humanity that we can only keep from atrophying if we exercise it habitually. Awe is not a lens through which to see the world, but our sole path to seeing. Any other lens is not a lens, but a veil. And I've come to believe that our beholding, seeing the veil of this world peeled back again and again, if for only a moment, is no small form of salvation. Wonder is the practice of beholding the beautiful. Wonder is about having the presence to pay attention to the commonplace." When we, like the Magi, are filled with awe and wonder, we no longer seek answers, but instead pause and behold. We do not simply live out our faith as observers, but actively seek ways to live out our faith with others, always learning, always serving, always beholding the majesty and glory of Jesus that surrounds us. For the Magi, what may have started perhaps as a journey of curiosity to see if the prophecy had truly come to pass ended with immense awe and wonder at the feet of the Christ child. Their travels ended with reverence as they bowed and worshiped the King of the Jews, the promised one, the Messiah, with all they had to offer. Those wealthy, wise, and learned men knelt and worshiped. They went on this grand journey with nothing to gain. Such respect and esteem, awe and wonder, and their worship was an act of love. Seeking answers, but finding more than they could have ever imagined. So as we enter into a new year, I always find it is a good time to pause and ponder the year ahead, to ponder what God might have in store for me, for us throughout this year, to ponder and set some goals. Small attainable goals work best for me. Maybe they do for you too. But also to think about ways to be a seeker. How can I seek God in a new way? What is it that I am seeking? Will it bring me closer to Jesus? This is where our star words, or our words of intention, can come into play. How can this word draw me closer to Jesus? Help me in my seeking, deepen my understanding of myself as a child of God. We are called to be seekers, always seeking Christ in all we do, seeking to grow deeper in our understanding, seeking truth while we read the scriptures, seeking ways in which we serve others by being the hands and feet of Jesus in the world, seeking fellowship with other believers through worshiping together, learning together, praying together, and simply spending time together. And so we too keep seeking, knowing that we never have all the answers, but we still seek the truth, seeking the sacred in the mundane, seeking the light that shines in the darkness, seeking the one who changed the world, seeking, 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 never giving up, even when it's tough, or we're tired, or we're hungry. Always seeking. Always seeking. Amen. Friends, I invite you to stand in body or in spirit as